Okay. Alright, that should be up and running. Let us make sure that this gets... There we go. That's up and running. And back onto the page. So, hey everybody out there. My name is Dragnix. And to try to put some content on the channel, every other week I'll be doing a review. I will be streaming a little bit more. Some smaller indie games, some other games that I wanted to highlight over the years. And this one came into my inbox very interestingly. Keymailer, which hadn't sent out a lot of keys over the last, couple of months. I see this in my inbox. Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse. It's a twin-stick shooter. It looks interesting. You know what? Why not? So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one considering I haven't even played the game yet. You guys are going to see me play it for pretty much the first time, and I'm going to get that off the screen. Can everyone hear me all right? And don't worry for anybody who was worried about, the game not having puns or using the llama word was going to use the llama word just in, a comical sense. No, they go the full aspect here. So I'm going to play this video for you, but can everyone hear me all right? No problems, blah, blah, blah. Difference between a twin-stick shooter, shmup, and a bullet hell. A shmup and bullet hell are pretty much the same thing. A twin-stick shooter is something that you have in terms of the two twin sticks are, one is used for movement, the other one is used to aim in a 360-degree direction. So you're going to have everything around you that you'll be firing against, as opposed to a shmup, which is more, going down screen, and it's usually confined to horizontal or vertical movement. The bullet hell portion is just taking a shmup and sort of pushing it to the next level, where it is just like a shmup on steroids. So I'm going to play this video for you because, well, they get into things.
Glad you could join us at the Llama Corporation. Thanks for signing up to save humanity. I'm Melissa, your eyes in the sky.
I don't like the fact that the text is so small compared to everything else.
50, a warship and mobile arsenal. We're currently docked just offshore of Santa Llama City. We don't have much time to get you up to speed, so listen closely.
Trust me, you'll get a lot of llama. 2 llamas on.
Joined together and are calling themselves the Llamanati.
The Llamanati 3.
They hacked into a television broadcast nationwide and sent the following message.
Hi, I'm Peter.
I mean, now, does anybody else get a stormtrooper vibe from that llama mask? Like, it used to be a stormtrooper mask, because that's what I first got.
Their delivery company relied on llamas. I was their default driver, but then out of greed, they replaced me with my sequel.
I'm not sure how I feel about this plot, but
we snuck in through the back door of Llama's headquarters and followed a file path that led us to discover that they have replaced us with drones, and we're using said drones to deliver weapons.
So,
now we are left to starve and die.
Llama
we are running solo on quarantine
was using llamas to deliver things, and now everything's going destroyed.
I am not standing for this. We have taken matters into our own hands. We have formed an alliance with the llamas and will destroy everything in our path.
Now, I'm going to be fighting the llamas. I feel like I'm on the wrong side of this.
We are the Llamanati. We are MacLeod. We do not forgive. We do not forget.
I do have to give them credit that they went this route in terms of the story.
Damn it. I told you we needed to cut holes in the eyes.
From that, it at least we know the cause of the llama uprising.
So it is a little bit
Built
strange
walls
that
to try and
they
contain
start with
llamas
that
in
and then
small
they go
areas.
immediately to
They
this
even tried
horrible,
making the
horrible
llamas
CGI
pay for
rendering
it.
of a
But unfortunately, the llamas
Cortana-like
trust us by
figure.
using the sewer and subway systems to get
It
under
just
the wall.
doesn't feel like
The
it's in
situation
the
is
same
spiraling out of
universe.
control, and the military are rapidly
In
losing
fact,
ground.
she sort of frightens
So,
me.
Yep, you guessed it. You're our only
I do
hope.
like the fact that her
Don't
sweater
worry, we won't
does
be
have
sending
folds in it,
precious little
just
you into battle.
because
It
they're
could
trying to make her
complicate our
human.
insurance policy.
But then
You'll simply be
all her
required to
face is the
deploy
same
and
color as
pilot
everything
a
else.
remotely operated nuclear-assisted llama destroyer, or Ronald for short, from the comfort of your workstation. One last thing. Management doesn't trust you with heavy weaponry yet.
Why wouldn't
so
you trust me with
prove
heavy
you know how to
weaponry?
handle yourself out
I mean,
there.
there's no
Also,
reason
Ronald is
not to
still
trust me.
undergoing analysis. So as you complete the test challenges, we'll be able to hook you up with the latest upgrades. Good luck, soldier.
All right, so now that you've got an idea of exactly what the game's story has to offer, which is insanity, let's go right to it. So this is a twin-stick shooter, and twin-stick shooters, pretty simple. Shoot and kill everything around you. I'm sort of surprised they got away with the Llama-zon thing. I know it could be parody, but in particular the font, you're getting really close to being a little bit overboard there. But same with, but like the Santa Llama City, okay, no one's gonna confuse that with Las Vegas, but
welcome.
You want upgrades, huh? Well, you're gonna have to work for them. Here's a new objective.
Yep. So if you didn't think I was fighting llamas, nope, I'm fighting llamas. So simple. You have two weapons, left and right at the top of the screen. Left is, well, left gun, right is the right gun. I start with two basic weapons, basic shots, and I have three skills. I have a shield, as you can see here. I have a dash, which I need some energy for. I can't use it right now. Is that energy? Come on, drop me some energy, guys. Reloading. You know what? The funny thing is, this is a tutorial level, but now that I'm playing it for the second time, it's completely different. In fact, they didn't bother with the rest of the tutorial, so I'm not sure what's going on. You see, you have a dash, a smush attack there.
Red, violets are blue. There are lots of llamas, and they are coming for you.
Yeah, we got a whole ton of llamas now. That's what we dash.
Hooray, perks all around.
So you get perks based on the achievements that you do, like shock and dash. Apparently, I now shock them, I'm assuming. There are a lot of llamas. I don't even know what my objective is. I'm a little bit concerned that the game is sort of screwed up at this point because it's not the tutorial level. It seems like I'm at a completely different level here. The graphics aren't that good, but I don't expect too much from it. Contraband, right? There we go. And Rain of Fire, no. Let's go get Better Call Saul in terms of some upgrades here. Yeah, it's similar to Nation Red, but
Next level.
we'll see how it plays along.
If you want to get some fancy mech upgrades, then you're going to have to do some
Gun guys?
challenges.
Okay, good to know. Hold on a second. Should be a little bit better now. Actually, I should do that otherwise. I should do that. Because I want to hear the voiceover, but so it's starting off simply, and you see I have this new gun which just shoots little orbs apparently. Hey, I don't know how I feel like about having this orb one. a little bit hard to control, actually, because you don't have that reticule to know what's going on. But apparently I can explode things, so that's nice. Killed 10 llamas using jump smash. Okay, sure.
That's what I like to see.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this lady and her want for llama destruction. So there is seemingly an ammo meter or an overheat meter of some sort. I'm gonna assume it's an ammo meter because it doesn't refill itself automatically, I don't think. In terms of the guns. Actually, let's check that. So, part of the reason why I want to do a little bit of these streams is to give you an idea of what I do as a reviewer. Because a lot of people are under the impression that you just play games. You don't do anything differently than you do normally when you play a game. You try to enjoy it. And I never thought reviewing was that simple. I always thought, hey, you got to try to review for the best audience out there. So you got to try to figure out exactly everything that the game does, even if you would never usually do that. So like that review portion, I could have just kept on shooting and figure out maybe over time if that's how it reloaded, or I actually make a test scenario to create the question in terms of the answer in question. Do I replenish it over time, or is it just that once it runs out, it automatically reloads? When is the other top 15 coming out? That is a very good question right now. So, for your information, 12 of the 15 games on the list are now sort of finalized.
Here's something that'll unpack a punch.
There are other games that I want to try though, and that's part of the thing that is going to affect how long it's going to take. One of the games was a mobile game, and I was playing it during lunch today, so yeah, playing without audio is another option that I do. That is one more of a standard more than anything else. I will always do that one. Now let's equip the freeze ray. I want a regular standard weapon all the time. Looks like I always get a weapon after each round, so that's interesting to note. Alpaca punch. What's down here? I don't know.
The llamas are dead. I would be more excited, but I'm just a door.
Dare to take on another challenge?
Knock over 10 street. Oh, okay, really? This is a challenge? I mean, I suppose it is, but no. Well, those are freeze ray. I don't need another freeze ray. Wait. This is a challenge, knocking over streetlights? I'm not sure if I like the freeze ray because I think it just freezes them, and then I gotta figure out what I want to do next. Doesn't look like I do anything specific in terms of smashing them. What number is Bubsy? We don't talk about Bubsy. Is number negative infinity.
Sound the llama. They're coming from all sides.
I admit that some of the game stories that I've tried ever since, like this weekend, I tried a couple of them. Some of them didn't work in terms of what I was expecting, but some of them, I have to admit, I'm sort of sad that I didn't get to them during the year because I know that I won't finish them right now because I just have so much other stuff to do, but they've made really interesting stories to begin with. Oh, I'm getting overrun. This freeze ray is doing jack shit. At least I can explode the cars in question. There's something about the control, like the controls on the guns here are okay, and it is nice to see that they make it so that you are a little bit slower than your enemy so that you can't necessarily just get away easily, but I don't know, something about the controls feels sluggish. It doesn't help that I'm using the freeze ray right now, which is not necessarily working out well for me. Because it's just pausing creatures as opposed to doing more damage. Yeah, and I'm supposed to follow up with like a dash or something, but I'm not seeing... Like, maybe it's good with like a minigun or something where I can do a lot more damage. It doesn't seem like a good combo with the just base pistol here. I noticed that the sizes of the llamas are actually different who chase me, so that's interesting. I noticed that there was like a yelling llama that brought other enemies towards them. I'm wondering how much they're going to use that towards the like middle parts of this level. You know, introduce new enemies, introduce new enemies.
Come on through.
Clearing the city not enough for you? Here's a challenge.
You see, okay, now what's confusing here? Again, we have this weird situation. So Lamazon is brought me in to deal with these llamas. Okay, fine. Why am I destroying mailboxes? But you got to give it to the puns here. I think Mermaid will especially appreciate that one.
Llamas coming from all sides.
Okay, all sides. Oh, okay, that looked like a gun.
Machine gun.
Okay, good, a machine gun. That's more of what I want. Fatal, critical. I wonder what makes it a critical and what makes it fatal. Hope? No. I mean, I should see what it is, but... I did not check. The system in which I got this key in particular, it is through Keymailer, so you do get like a store description, and I actually, come to think of it, they did leave a message that I should have read, but like they don't necessarily give you a full press release. You have to go and sort of search for it, unlike other like game press portions where it's just like, okay, they're just gonna give you everything up front. I admit I'm going into this game rather blind, and most of the reason why I'm looking at it is because of the name. I mean, Llama Apocalypse. Okay, you got my attention. I don't like... So one of the things I really don't like, just starting, like, or just pointing it out, everything on the top of the UI, all right? If you're going to develop UI, one of the things that you need to be very, very cautious about is UI blending into each other. So the idea being that elements just sort of come together and it's hard to distinguish one from another. Making every element of the top portion red is a bad idea, because it's like, okay, what's the health, what's the weapons, what's the skills? I mean, you can check it, but it's not easy to see immediately on one glance. So the question is, why do that? Why make it harder for somebody to do that, as opposed to just, well, you know, doing it red, yellow, blue, red, yellow, green. Those are simple things that you should apply to make your game a little bit easier for, especially people who are more visual learners. I don't like this. So this one pushes them away, which is good for crowd control, but I don't need that crowd control right now. I'd rather just have power, because I'm keeping them back reasonably. But it is effective. I'll give them that. AI is rather simple. They're just charging and charging. They're doing some, like, swirls in there and things like that. I don't know what this is, but Hard to control that one though. You gotta do things right in order to hit those weapons. Oh boy.
This area looks secure. Good work.
Okay, so pretty straightforward. We'll probably back about it. Yeah, exactly. It's something to make them stand out a little bit more. Like the green and yellow usage there for the weapons in question, even that's a little bit questionable because again, green and yellow, especially the shades that they chose, they can blend together a little bit. They give you an idea of similarity, but why? You got one primary weapon, left weapon, right weapon. Why not make it a little bit different? Especially because you have two different weapons. Okay. The mech is interesting, though. It's got a spider-like mentality to it. Doesn't look like a base asset of anything. In fact, a lot of this stuff does look like it looks basic, but it doesn't look like it was, you know, taken off a store or anything like that.
There's some red warning lights flashing over here. I'm sure it's nothing to be concerned about, though.
It does have a nice sort of comedic effect. What's the word I'm looking for? Not soundtrack, but vocal tracks. Like the door actually identifying itself as a door was interesting. It's got a little bit of comedy. I know it's a little bit hard to hear, but come on. The explosions are nice. Problem is that now we're at the I think this is the 4th wave, and I'm not seeing much in terms of variety in terms of these enemies here. Also, I know I missed a mailbox or two. I did want to miss some in terms of that first portion because I wanted to see is it specific to each mission or not. It looks like, or each area or not. It isn't, so now I need to look a little bit more. I'm also just not noticing any way to regain health, which is interesting. So much blood. Okay, so I couldn't do anything other than smash that. Okay, fine. I'm trying to think, like, the shield. Okay. Shield is drains your energy, so I mean, I guess it's good for in a pinch. That would too. I mean, everything. Well, that is a good question in terms of that because you do want some of that information to be readily available, but like for example the llama death count, yeah, I could definitely see that. Not why does that need to be in that portion? There's no reason for it. It just sort of it feels like it clutters the screen a little bit, to be honest with you. The sound design in particular is also a little bit off. It's just not impactful enough in my mind. I know you guys are not hearing the sound as much, but it's just the same. Like this machine gun is just the machine gun. It doesn't have an impact when it's actually hitting a llama. All right. I don't want the freeze gun. Interesting. Destroy a mailbox. Left, up, or right? Now, you know we're gonna go down this way. Is there no health anywhere? Wonder if...
You have done well to eradicate the llamas.
Destroy file mailboxes, I know.
Quick,
I don't know.
eliminate them at the source.
Oh, I guess I'm looking for a llama hive now. Okay, good. You're finally introducing new objectives. That's good. Okay, I wish you would tell me what that is, but okay, sure. I have quick draw now. It really needs more enemies right now. It really does. I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And yeah, there's some different enemies, but yeah, I probably won't be. It probably won't. It'll probably be. This is the intro stream, and I probably won't go beyond this based on what I see right now. I do want to do more indie games, and I do want to do more, you know, look for those diamonds in the rough, but right now this is not impressing me too much. It's not bad control-wise, it's not bad, like, weapon-wise, but it's already falling into repetition, and that's pretty bad for a twin-stick shooter. You want some repetition, you don't want a lot of repetition. So that is a problem. It also doesn't help, again, the llamas are just, they're stupid. They're really, really stupid. Wish I had my third monitor on so I could put up llama facts. But I've got the super chat open and I've got the game on. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too, Sai. The idea of, okay, there's llamas, but that's about it. And I'm about to die here, so... I don't see any way to easily gain health either, so... anything in terms of health. And that was... Okay, that was a mailbox. Sure.
All clear. Let's go.
Is there anything else? Okay, so it's dropping stuff based on the destruction. So let's walk around and see if we can get more stuff. Maybe destroying the right thing. What is this? Confusion. Wait, did I pick that up? It went away, but I don't see the item. Interesting. See, I can't tell if I'm doing damage to it. Like, the impact is not really there. Okay. Well, I'm probably gonna die anyway, so we'll just go to the next one.
All furry butts have been eradicated.
Aw, should we make the challenges easier for you?
Okay, so it did react to me not doing challenges. Okay, that's interesting. That's nice to see. Well, that is a value, though. I mean, having all those llama puns.
Machine gun.
I did not mean to do that, but okay. See, I can't tell if I'm actually doing any damage there. So that's interesting. It's also hard to tell what skill is actually, like that pushback. It's a skill, but it's not really showing me what that skill is. Okay, so I'm dead.
Second chance.
What? Okay. Sure. Yeah, I remember getting that skill, of course. The level design, too, isn't necessarily helpful in this case. You do want some, like, idea is that, okay, you're going to get stuck in corners and things like that, but this feels like it's going a little bit too far.
Well, that was easy. We should have called this game No Cause for a Llama.
Really? 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 Yeah, I'm bored too at this point. This is not working. At all. And that's going to happen once in a while. You're going to get those situations where you play a game and it just doesn't click, or it just doesn't have really any value for you. And, you know, as a reviewer, you got to play it a little bit. But right now, yeah, it's not showing me anything. That rain effect is... Oh, that doesn't bode well with me. Like, so the idea of things like Nation Red, it kept the attack up, but it kept the variety up too, with different enemy types. The fact that you had to get new weapons, so that caused the new variety. Here, I mean, I'm already sort of really bored because of the fact that these enemy types are completely the same. Not only that, you've got the situation where I basically have the same weapons, and I don't really want to take necessarily a new weapon because it's going to be an experiment. It's going to be like, well, it may work, it may not. And the objectives are just sort of nonsensical a little bit. Like, oh, destroy mailboxes. I don't understand why.
Left, you might need your jump smash.
What is this? Like, okay, that screaming llama, that was a good idea. That can work.
Llaminator.
Llaminator? Oh, it's a grenade launcher. Okay. Which is really hard to use at close range. See, part of the problem here with the twin stick shooter with two weapons is the fact that, like, it's hard to necessarily easily judge where your weapon is firing, because it's that full center. Drop rate? I will have to take a look at drop rate. I don't think I've heard of them before.
Section clear. One more mailbox. I gotta be able to find one more mailbox. So what is this too? Doesn't really show you what that is, and it doesn't really do anything. I can't destroy it. So I'm not sure what the point was. Other than just being there.
Llamas eliminated.
Okay, one more mailbox. Think that's a mailbox? Nope. That's a newspaper.
Don't get too comfortable. The next challenge won't be as easy.
I guess that classifies as a mailbox, even though that's a newspaper stand. No. I'm not sure why that actually did it, but okay, sure. Why not? Ooh, gas station. Can I blow up the gas station? This is important. Nope, I can blow up myself instead.
You certainly did not suck there.
Okay, so it looks like there's 6 types of llamas. I just haven't found them. Cost the taxpayers. That's a nice little stat. Pints of blood skilled, damage taken. Okay. So was that an arcade mode? Wow, okay. The lab is located 10 clicks from the city entrance. Rescue the scientist. If it's gonna be the same thing, I'm not sure if I'm gonna want to do this again.
Enter, citizen!
Okay, so what was that?
I bet you can't finish this new challenge.
Do you guys see that laser stop here? Yeah, like right there. What's it caught on? That's a little bit strange. That is very strange. Now, it is co-op, but I don't see how co-op makes this better at all. I'm probably only going to play this for another 15.
Llama, but I think they're regrouping.
And then, you know, I'll probably make up another stream later in the week because this is not working at all. But if you have any questions for me, let me know. The noises are just annoying more than anything else, too. It's not... It just doesn't have... Like, that part doesn't have character.
This sector is not safe. Access denied.
I mean, like, look at this. This is not fun. This is a swarming twin stick shooter that doesn't do swarming well. What would you say is the top 10 games of all time that you've played? I think I've said that a couple of times, and I know that changes, but I'll go with the ones that I remember. The World Ends With You it's been my number one. It will stay my number one, probably for a while. The fact is that it was a interesting story, an interesting twist, plus a very interesting combat system with the dual screens, especially for the 3DS. It was amazing at the time, and another Square Enix gem in a time where they had sort of not necessarily done well with it. Take a look at Rogue Man's tonight? Probably not, because I wanted to look at that a little bit more before I got into that one. Twin stick shooters are a little bit easier in terms of like the concepts are the same, but with Rogue Man's, with a roguelike, it could really be different. It could be really difficult to like sort of learn on the fly. So I wanted to play that a little bit before I did this here, because guess what? I don't want to make this boring. Oh, top 10 worst. Okay. Is it cashing on in the top-down dual stick shooter genre?
I hope you're not in this for the twists and
no, I wouldn't say so,
you
because
need to complete those challenges.
I mean, there isn't really the market there isn't really necessarily that big. Top-down shooters right now they're a good starting point, especially for an indie company. And if you do it right, it can really work. But like cashing in, there's no real game that really has necessarily made it popular lately. If that makes sense.
Contra gun.
Okay, a contraband rifle, contra gun. I get it. That's really skating close to, especially with Konami, getting maybe some legal action on it. Especially the bullets look almost very, very similar to the spread gun or the base gun in Contra. Top 10 worst. Okay. Alone in the Dark Illumination is one that comes to mind. My God, that game was broken on launch, and it was just downright horrible. It's just like, and especially for a franchise that started so well in Alone in the Dark, you know, it was a survival horror. It really, you know, people talk about Resident Evil being the birth of survival horror. No, it's Alone in the Dark that was.
It's raining llamas.
And
Hallelujah.
Llama. Okay, you're trying way too hard in this one. In this case. So yeah, to see it turn into this sort of dead, lifeless corpse in terms of this sort of like multi-person shooter that didn't necessarily understand the survival horror roots was just sort of pathetic, to be honest with you. Top 10 worst.
Keep it up.
See, I've played a lot of bad games over the years. Bubsy the Woolly Strikes Back is definitely one of them. Well, that's the problem with Bubsy. It was competent enough to be playable, but it was also boring enough to be a problem. The level design was horrible.
You're good to go.
Give me a second. Getting a drink here. But I would put it in my top 10 right now because it's one that's fresh in my mind.
Discount Dash.
Just one of the some of the worst level design I've seen in games, and some of the most repetitive level design that I've seen, where it's just like they threw shit together without even bothering to try. So, yeah, that's definitely a problem. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and there was a small RPG. Well, not small. It was one of the only RPGs on the N64 called Quest 64. It's not that it was necessarily a bad game per se, but it was the worst because it was the first RPG on a system that I had grown up with in terms of the NES line, which RPGs were my jam. You know, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, you know. And the transition to 3D, I understand, was a little bit difficult for some, but Quest 64 was so boring. And yeah, it tried something different, but with the movement-based combat system, but it was so just, like, I didn't even want to get past the first levels. It was just so tedious. Grinding in that game was... It wasn't as bad as Stranger of Sword City, per se, but... it was bad. Really? I'm actually surprised at that. And again, it's not necessarily it being the worst thing that I've played, but with my expectations for the system and my expectations for the game itself, it never worked. Worst games is a... I want to say Resident Evil Revelations 2, but, you know, unfortunately the arena mode saves it from that, because the arena mode worked. I will say Resident Evil 6, because it just didn't know what type of game that it wanted to be. And I think that's some of the worst experiences I've had, where it's a game that tries way too much to be one thing or another. Similarly, you could put Sonic Boom on the list, and even more than Sonic 06, I think. Sonic Boom was just, it didn't know what it wanted to be. Did it want to be a platformer? Did it want to be a speeding Sonic game? Did it want to be this adventure game? It couldn't figure it out, and it tried everything and failed everything. Trying to think of some older games like back in the day that I played, and I'm trying to remember, hey, what were some of the bad ones on there, because I feel like a lot of my worst games come from like games that I've played while on the channel, and I know I've played worse games than that in the past. Oh, of course, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I played that as a kid, and I still don't know what the purpose of that game was. It was confusing, it was hard, it was like, it just frustrated me in every aspect.
Wow, that was quick. I'm gonna call you Llama Genie from now on.
And I know that the Angry Video Game Nerd and some others have played it, but it was as bad as they have said. Let's just put it that way. I need 3 more. See, like, nothing comes up on the SNES. Like, I can't think of anything on the SNES that was horrible. I feel like I'm missing a Game Boy game. I remember there being a particular Game Boy game that I used to play that I hated. And it was early on when I was, like, I had first gotten the system, and it was one that's like, oh, hey, you got a new game, you got to play it. And
Access granted. The furry menace is no more.
I haven't played Ark the Lad End of Darkness, and Mermaid Turtles to Tie an absolute worst. Okay, you get the corner treatment for the rest of the stream. How dare you? How dare you? Turtles in Time was a magnificent masterpiece. And I understand that Mermaid is pointing to the fact that I want a Turtles in Time cabinet so she's obviously. I was gonna make a goat joke here, but this is Llama, so can't necessarily make that joke, can I? I am sorely depressed about this game. And sadly though, this isn't necessarily adding to the worst games list, because it's confident and it's not necessarily worth getting angry about or saying it's the worst, because I don't know what the resources were. I don't know what any of that was. So it's hard to say that. You guys want me to make me as angry as these llamas, though, don't you? You know, it is interesting to see so many people get so angry at V3 and in particular its ending, which I'm not going to spoil, but just seeing the reaction of people from it, it's like, oh, it's the worst thing for the franchise, and me sitting there going, no, it's not. If I don't want to say anything, but no, it's not. Worst games. I'm gonna piss some people off. Final Fantasy 13. You see, to me, a worst game is to take a game that had a formula that was working, rework it in a way where it just loses all of its identity. And I don't understand what happened with Final Fantasy 13. I really don't. It's not the worst game. I'll admit that. But when it comes to the worst game for me, that killed my excitement for the Final Fantasy franchise. Like, when 15 was coming out, I was a little excited, but, you know, it was just like, well, you guys did make 13, and then made 13-2, and then made 13-3 for some reason. Resident Evil 5, I'll give Resident Evil 5 this. It tried something different, and the base gameplay was still there. Like, the AI in Resident Evil 5 wasn't bad. It wasn't as good as, you know, some other ones, but it did make me think it was rushed. It didn't make me think it was, like, not even trying. Resident Evil Revelations 2, on the other hand, it was just like, what happened here?
Your efforts are taking center stage.
Orion was bad, but again, Orion is one of those things where it's just like, it's hard for me to hold, like, small indie like if you look at the channel and some of the games I've played, there are definitely worse games than Bubsy or Alone in the Dark Illumination. There were some games that technically didn't even work, but when I think worst games, I think memorable worst games. Like, okay, yeah, I can find the worst game that doesn't even run or doesn't even, like, physically work, but they didn't necessarily have the budget of a Bubsy. They didn't necessarily have a budget of a Alone in the Dark Illumination. So can I really hold that against them? So Resident Evil 5, I feel like it did enough. And the thing is that if you played that co-op, it would work a lot better. Now, Resident Evil Revelations 2's co-op, for example, was a lot worse because it didn't understand what the co-op design was supposed to bring to the table, and instead just made an absolute mess. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of one more or two more that were surefire bad games. I'm gonna go with Rodea the Sky Soldier. I know that's one of the recent ones, and the only reason that hits the list is that the publisher absolutely screwed it. I mean, the publisher didn't allow for the motion controls to be put into place, the right set of controls in terms of everything else. It just never worked. And I'm referring to the Wii U version. Apparently the Wii version works just fine, but they sort of screwed themselves. And let me think about that last one, Dynasty. I'm going to stop here because there's absolutely no reason to play this game, but I am going to take this final, 5 minutes to just summarize my experience here. I've never heard of Think Smallwood. Basically, Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse, it's an idea. It's an idea of, oh, hey, you're being attacked by llamas. And you have this mech, and you fire and fire and fire and fire. The problem here is simple. There's not enough variety. You get some random level design changes, and you get some random weapons, but you need a combination of things. And the fact that you don't get good progression in terms of enemies or good AI in terms of progression kills the game. And unfortunately, that makes a huge difference. I haven't even gotten past the first level, but I have no want to. The first sections of this game were just the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And unfortunately, that just doesn't work. It just does not work for the rest of the game in question. And okay, I have job perks here, and you get greater smashing time, reload and wave, fast reload, slow llamas. Slows llamas. I mean, that's great and all, but again, that needs in combination with multiple enemy types and more weapon variety in terms of some different weapons that feel different. The water portion here and the ray, it worked, but it worked only in a good conjunction with things. That if you didn't get the right conjunction, it wasn't going to work at all. So overall, I would not say don't bother with Vicious Assault Llama Apocalypse. It just doesn't have sort of what it needs to stand out. You've got way too many good top-down twin-stick shooters. You got Neon Chrome. You've got things like Nation Red. There's just too many good ones out there, and you need something to stand out. And unfortunately, even the silly concept and the silly intro just doesn't do it. You can see that on YouTube. So this is Dragnix signing out. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I was going to only do about an hour stream to begin with. I will be streaming again on Wednesday, and I will probably be streaming on Thursday with a certain couple members of the audience here with 100% orange juice. So, yeah, I'll see you then. Hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Steam, whatever. Later.